welcome to our information session on the professional DBA. This professional DBA is replacing our thesis-based DBA. This is only the second professional DBA in South Africa, where we have coursework and a thesis in the professional DBA. So let me share my screen with you, and then I go through a few slides with you. So welcome to this presentation, a very exciting event for us in the Mandela Business School, because this is a project that is now coming to fruition that started already here in 2014 already, when we started looking at the ProDBA, but then persisted with the thesis-based DBA, and then eventually decided 2 years ago to implement a professional DBA, only the second one in South Africa. So let me share you my screen quickly, and then just find out whether you can see my screen. Can you see it? Can you see my screen, colleagues?
Yes, Prof.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Prof.
You can see it. Okay, thank you very much for that. Let me just get a better screen up for you. And then close this one down here. It's good. Right. So the ProDBA, in short, the professional, in short for the professional DBA. So just to introduce our business school for the people who don't know our business school, the Mandela Business School is located in Port Elizabeth. The new name there is Gqeberha. We've got a new name for Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha. So we are located there at the south, on the south point of South Africa. But we have satellite campuses or satellite delivery sites in Gauteng province, in Durban, East London, and in Cape Town. But we attract our students right across the world, right across Africa, to the ProDBA. So our footprint, while in South Africa, is also in Africa and the rest of the world. So the structure of our business school is as follows. We are located in the graduate school. The graduate school is responsible for the degree programs of the business school. That means the PDBA, that is the postgraduate diploma, the MBA, and then this ProDBA. They are located in the graduate school. And then we have on the other side, which we now still call the Leadership Academy. And in that department, we offer the executive education programs. So you will be located, if you do the ProDBA, in the graduate school of the business school, right? So our teaching philosophy here at the graduate school is simply that we try to really achieve service excellence. I'm going to expand on those words again. We really try to move very close to the business sector, business people, because we are doing a business administration degrees, and we like to facilitate the best learning experience for our students. We like to do that, but also we have a special focus on developing holistic leaders. Our slogan of the universities, for example, is leadership for change. You will make that change, be part of the change. And you will see this theme will go right through all our teaching in the graduate school. PDBA level, MBA level, and the ProDBA level, we put a good, strong emphasis on leadership development, and the ProDBA is central in that, because you will be a good leader after you have done the ProDBA. So with service excellence, we mean the following. We really would like to cut down on bureaucracy and red tape. We have a standard, a norm in the graduate school that we want to respond to all the queries within 3 days, not later than 3 days. We really would like to cut bureaucracy in our service delivery. That is why we established a relationship office in the business school. And in that office, we provide you a one-stop service. We build relationships. We service our students from that office. So it's not different offices serving you. You speak to one office and they will then put you into contact with the relevant other admin staff or academic staff. As I also said, we have dedicated admin staff and academic staff. I will show you more about that later. And then for us, it's very important that we build and we develop holistic leaders, holistic students. We give you an holistic experience right from PDBA level to the ProDBA level. And our programs are very financially flexible. People are usually paying us off, and we are actually a business, almost one of the most affordable business schools in South Africa. While we are rated number 6 in South Africa, we are still very affordable. There are 18 schools in South Africa, and we are rated 6th in South Africa. So what we mean by engaging the business community, we find that, for example, that we are the first choice provider for degree programs and executive programs. We have 75% market share in the Eastern Cape. So we are really, there are universities like Fort Hare, like Rhodes in our province, and there are also other private business schools, but also the other big business schools also have satellite campuses in the Eastern Cape. But still, we are the first choice provider of programs in the Eastern Cape, a 75% market share. So we pride ourselves in really trying to move and operate very near to the business community. Through our networking, for example, with the Chambers of Commerce here, we have one there in East London, one in Durban, the Chamber of Commerce in Port Elizabeth, and so on. So our networks there, we use that in our teaching and in our delivery, in our offerings, in our business school. Our lecturers must do consulting, and that is the way to move very close to business. So consultation is done by our academics, and there they keep into contact with the practice of their subject. Right, so we also arrange strategic conversations where we invite top class speakers, international and local speakers on relevant and topical topics to address business people. And we invite these people to these strategic conversations. And while these top class people are here, we use them also for master classes in our MBA classes and in the PDBA classes, as well in ProDBA. We will definitely have a very strong influence of industry people in the ProDBA. We provide training education, as I say, executive education to people. And as I already said, the companies here prefer our approach and come to us to train their middle managers and top managers in the programs we deliver. We also run the community projects. For example, our business school is involved in, for example, looking at old age homes, providing clothing banks to people, food banks to people, and so on. That's our community outreach. And that is also how we engage community and other communities in our engagement efforts. And then we attend conferences and also arrange conferences. By the way, there is a DBA, a ProDBA conference also. As part of your first year, you will present papers at the conference, for example, to give you that kind of experience and to test your skills of delivery and presentation, but also listen to where you are in your development of your ProDBA. And then we have an advisory board with top class business people advising the business school on business issues and industry issues and so on. So we move very close to business, and we would like that to infuse our teaching in the business school. Right, so the learning experience that we provide to our students, we really like our, especially the ProDBA. We want it to be of practical relevance to you. It must be of practical relevance to you. And that is why in the ProDBA and our MBA, for example, we have a strong focus on group learning. We try to simulate the board of directors in our teaching, and you debate things and present to this board of directors. And that practical knowledge infuses our teaching then in our class. We pride ourselves on our academic rigor as well. And we would like our ProDBA candidates, for example, to be able to use theoretical frameworks, scholarly theoretical frameworks, and bring this in terms of reasoning and analytical thinking, bring it to a problem, a practical business problem, and try to solve that problem. So using strong theoretical frameworks and reasoning and critical thinking to really make a contribution in their doctoral studies. Very important for us in the ProDBA and in the MBA also is as I said, our focus on leadership, the way people communicate, the way you present yourself, the way you argue your case in the ProDBA, your proposal, and so on. So these things are part of your personal development as a professional. And we also like to inculcate that into our candidates. And lastly, we like also to, in the ProDBA, there will definitely be an international experience. In the MBA, we send people on international trips, also invite international adjunct professors to come teach, also invite students to come do our courses and our modules. But also in the ProDBA, you will definitely have teachers coming from the top international presenters coming to teach on the ProDBA. So the international flavor will be very strong in the ProDBA. So our business school has a lot of accreditations. Our MBA is EMBA accredited, one of only 200 MBAs in the world accredited by EMBA. So we are highly rated by EMBA as well, 6 in South Africa. Our DBA is accredited by EDAMBA, European Doctoral Programs Association in Management and Business Administration. There are about 75 schools belonging to EDAMBA internationally on all continents. So that will be your network, people, if you do the ProDBA. These days, we speak about global doctorates, global supervision, global studies, and you can only do that with an international network. So EDAMBA will provide that for you. We are also accredited by our own Council on Higher Education. You must be accredited before you can render or offer degrees in our country. So we are fully accredited by our local Council on Higher Education. We are a member of the South African Business School Association. Actually, our director of school is the president of SAPSA. So we are highly rated by SAPSA as well. And we also, because of our links and because of our location on Africa, we are also affiliated to the Association of African Business Schools. So those are our accreditations of our school. So you are then in a business school doing your ProDBA with us. That is highly accredited. Business school that is highly accredited, that is rendering for you your ProDBA. We also subscribe to PRME, the Principles for Responsible Management. And every year we need to report on how we adhere to these principles of responsible management. Okay, so there are our ratings again. We are 6 in South Africa. Our MBA is one of only 200 in the world. And we are also people, we're having a business school building that has 4 Green Star, is 4 Green Star rated by the Green Business Council of South Africa. So our business school adheres to green principles. The way we circulate or recirculate our things or recycle our things in the business school in terms of how we operate in terms of green principles. Our business school is a 4 Green Star rated business school. The building, right? Just a little bit more on the rankings. There you can see the full rankings, the 18 business schools in South Africa, and the top one is Stellenbosch, followed by UCT, GIBS, WITS, Rhodes, and then us. So we are really 6 out of 18 business schools in the world. While we are a small business school, maybe in terms of number and in terms of staff, we're really punching above our weight, being an affordable business school as well. There's our campus. So when you come down to our campus, hopefully with change in COVID regulations, maybe we could go back to our campus next year and have face-to-face interactions with our students. That is what we prefer. We'd like to have that, some contact with our students, coming to syndicate discussions and coming to debates, coming to conference, come present their conference papers at our business school and so on. So there is the building, the green building in 2nd Avenue. Our campus is within a bigger campus of the university called the 2nd Avenue campus. In that campus, we have the business school campus. Okay, our faculty, who's teaching you? Who will be teaching you on the ProDBA? We have full-time and part-time and adjunct faculty. We have 10 at the moment, we have 10 full-time faculty members. There's 1 vacancy that we still need to fill. Then we will have 11 full-time academics, 7 support staff, and there are their specialization areas. So if you want to know more about these people, you can just go to www.leadersfortomorrow.co.za and look at the biographies of these people. We also have 9 part-time and adjunct faculty, including industry experts teaching on your program, on the ProDBA. Right? So this ProDBA, colleagues, is designed for special people like you, people who are looking for rigorous business education. Rigorous business education. People are looking to make a career progression into high level of consulting and strategic career roles, right? That's how we see a ProDBA person who has done a good, rigorous study on a practical business problem, which makes that person an expert that can consult in that area. And to be able to be on that high level, you need to be a good researcher. These days, you can't be an executive and a good manager if you don't do good research, because you can only build good decisions or base your good decisions on good research. So you also need, as a consultant and a top class business professional, you need advanced research skills. You need to know how to build a theoretical model, framework, use these methods to solve the business problem in a research way, You need to know how to decipher complex organizations, lead these organizations, change these organizations. And you can only do that if you have good research and coming from your research and your empirical work, that makes you actually very stronger, because a doctoral person actually claims to be the only person knowing about your topic when you have finished your topic. Your original contribution is a doctoral contribution. So your complex understanding of a problem and puts you in a position to be an expert in that field, and you can therefore then lead change initiatives in that industry and in that profession. And then lastly, this program, the ProDBA, is also designed for people looking for network and international mobility, because in the ProDBA, you will definitely make contact with about 75 schools. You have that access to ProDBA, to the Dumbup platform, to really go for global studies and global supervision and actually bring global ideas to a problem. Okay, so when you leave the ProDBA, the exit level outcomes, what do we want our characteristics in you as our candidate, having done our ProDBA? We know that after you will, after you leave the ProDBA, you will definitely have a critical understanding of the dynamics of complex organization. You will know how to bring advanced theories into these discussions and understanding of organizations. You will know how to create and integrate new knowledge, because a doctoral person must do that. Integrate new knowledge, create new knowledge. You will have the ability to bring new and relevant scholarship to a new business problem in a way that only you understand after your study. You will be the expert on that. That's supposed to happen if you are a doctoral student. You will have an in-depth understanding and knowledge of research theory, right? And use this research theory to conceptualize solutions to practical business problems. And in doing so, you make your original contribution as a doctoral student, right? That is what we want to be. That's what we see as one of your characteristics when you leave the ProDBA. And we want to teach you then to understand good research and do good research, and also do consulting after this, and also teaching after this. You must know rigorous data analysis, both quantitatively and qualitatively, as well as mixed methods. You must understand rigorous data analysis. And then also have good presentation skills, understand your findings, understand your empirical work, and then present those to scholarly audiences, as well as non-academic audiences. So those will be the characteristics we would like to see in our ProDBA candidates, right? That's our ProDBA. So our presentation mode, our teaching mode in the ProDBA will definitely be lecturing. It will be strong on group work, case studies, discussion in the class, problem solving, analytical thinking, really debating issues, and really finding novel solutions to your problem. That means we are to create that group discussion so that you can also test your ideas with your peers, and they can criticize your idea to get the best out of you, to get the best solution for you. So your peers will be your board of directors, where you test your ideas with your colleagues and your peers. So you will also then be doing assignments, class debates, as I say. You will present your candidates, you will present conference papers, you might even write a journal article while you do your ProDBA. Even before you have finalized your DBA, you can also publish from your ProDBA while you are doing your literature review and things like that. So that is what our format will be in terms of teaching the ProDBA. Okay. So colleagues, I can't see any hands. If you want to ask questions, maybe I should present first and then we ask questions. That's fine with you? Or do you want to stop me and then ask questions?
I'm in agreement with the presentation, Prof, and then we ask questions at the end.
Okay, sure. Then I will then proceed with my presentation. Right, so the ProDBA, colleagues, is the highest, you know, a doctoral study is the highest academic achievement for any student, right? In our language in South Africa, a doctorate is at NQF, our national qualification framework, is at the top, is level 10, right? And that follows on a master's degree, an MBA, which is at NQF level 9, right? So to gain entry into the ProDBA, you must have a master's degree, a relevant master's degree. We discuss usually whether your degree is relevant. Sometimes you come from a psychological background, but then we look at your work experience and the topic and see whether your M will lead you into the ProDBA. So we discuss the relevance of your work experience and your master's degree, and based on that, we will then allow you into ProDBA. There is a process of selection. I will explain that now again to you later, but this is then a ProDBA then follows on a master's degree. Duration of our ProDBA is a maximum of 6 years, but we would like our students not to take 6 years to do our ProDBA. We'd like you to do it even in 2 years or even in 4 years, right? So it all depends on the student, but minimum time for the ProDBA will be 2 years and maximum time will be 6 years. While I say we prefer our students to do it within 4 years and not 6 years. So first year is a coursework year. I'm going to explain the coursework year for you again. You have 1 year to pass that coursework year. If you fail the coursework year, you have another year to repeat it. And after that, there's no third chance. So you have 2 years to complete the coursework year. And then you have 4 years to complete the thesis after that. Usually we don't give extension after the 4 years. We don't want to give extension because we really want our students to finish within the lesser time and not at the maximum time. Because we also want your study to remain current. The study can become old in 6 years' time, you know. So that is very important for us, that you do a good job in the first year coursework, and then in the coursework year you build your study, your literature study, your coursework courses. You build that in your first year, and you build your proposal in the first year, and then you should be ready to actually finish your thesis 2 years from that first year. So it can take you 2 years or 3 years to actually finalize your ProDBA. But these are university rules. It says minimum 2, maximum 6. That's university rules. But we actually encourage our students to take only 2, 3, 4 years and not go for 6 years. Right? So this is then the minimum requirements to come into the ProDBA. As I said, you need a master's degree, NQF level 9, and you must have obtained a 60% in your M. A 60% in your M to come into the ProDBA. You must have work experience on a managerial level, 5 years work experience on a managerial level, middle to senior management. And then you must submit to us a preliminary proposal. We call it the prelim, a 3-pager prelim where we look at your topic, your intended topic, your intended research. We evaluate that. And then when if you find that prelim acceptable to us, we will invite you to an interview. You can see the interview there later. We also look at your essay. You must also submit a 2-page essay. And there we look at your style of writing, your future ideas, or your future career prospect, or your thinking about your future career and so on. We look at your affiliation of professional bodies. How strong are you in terms of your background, your awards, your accomplishments, and so on. So we look at the essay also to see the stature of who's sitting in front of us so that we can also serve you well. Not discriminate on levels, but to make sure that we provide the best service to you, right, to everybody. So if we find you to be a guru in maritime studies, for example, we don't want to bombard you with something else than maritime, for example. And then you will work with our Dr. Jessica Fraser, for example, who is our maritime expert. You know, so after those 2 documents, the proposal, the prelim proposal, and the essay, we invite you to an interview, and there the research director, our HOD, and the business school director, plus an academic, and plus an industry expert will sit in that interview panel, and they will listen to your proposal and so on. And then they will decide whether your proposal has merit or will make a doctoral contribution. And then after the interview, we will then deliberate with you what to do. So if you then fail the interview, you fail your interview, you can then reapply for a second time to come into the ProDBA, but there is no third chance, and so on. So that is the process of admission to the ProDBA. So this is the structure of the ProDBA, the academic structure of the ProDBA. The first 4 modules there are compulsory. You must do them. Advanced business administration. Now here we bring everybody on board. As I said, your M could come from maybe from an education background or from a psychology background or even from political background. But that means your sense maybe of business administration is not at the same level as a person who is coming from the private sector or from business administration. In that module, we try to level the playing field. We bring everybody on board on where current thinking is in terms of business administration. So you'll be learning what are the cutting edge issues in marketing, the cutting edge issues in supply chain, the cutting edge issues in leadership, and so on and so on and so on. And that will be the focus of that module. Then, as I said, you must have a strong understanding of theory to do good applied research and to solve a business problem. Also, you must be strong in knowing and be able to conduct, research data analysis using advanced research techniques. And there we teach you advanced research techniques quantitatively, the quantitative ones, as well as the qualitative ones. And then the other module there is your thesis, 240 credits. That's also compulsory, you must do that. And then we have electives. You choose one elective because your topic is located in that elective. You choose an elective in which your topic is located. If your topic is entrepreneurship, you will work with an entrepreneurship guru in our business school, and that person will lead you or people in entrepreneurship. Not only that the one person will lead you to develop your topic and eventually have your proposal ready for after the first year of the coursework year. So those electives, you choose one elective, and that elective is the elective in which your topic is located. So that's the structure of our ProDBA. That's just the same research areas. Maybe this is slightly different from the electives. These focus areas indicate our research focus areas, where we are strong in terms of academics in our business school. We have a professor on leadership, human resource management, organizational behavior. It's a strong focus for us, a strong research focus. So you can choose a topic in there. There's also a guru in entrepreneurship and marketing, small business development, innovation. Then we have strategy, international business, business in society, and general management. Your topic can be located there. Then we have maritime studies, operations, and supply chain management. Those are research foci of that person, of that academic. And then we have academics in financial management, corporate governance, sustainability. The interest field is that one. And maybe you want to locate your research topic in there. And then we also have gurus and industry experts on strategic ICT, artificial intelligence, and data science. And so if you want to locate your topic in that area, there's also an academic there for you in our business school. So next year, hopefully, if there's face-to-face or still mask-to-mask, we hopefully will have a contact session. If you can't have a face-to-face contact session, a physical contact session, we will definitely have a virtual contact session starting on the 7th of February, the 12th of February, 2022. And there we will teach you then advanced business administration, theory of applied research, including writing a paper as part of applied research, and then having meetings in your elective group in accordance with your topic. The second block will then be from the 9th to the 14th of May. There you will then proceed with theory of applied research, and then we bring on board here the qualitative research techniques and the quantitative research techniques. I will discuss the presenters on those courses later, and you will see them. And then we will proceed with elective discussions and maybe have a DBA conference where you will present that paper that you have been writing since February, right? Also, by that time, maybe you will have started maybe a pilot study for your testing your questionnaire and things like that, and you present your findings at the DBA conference and things like that. So that's all part of your training to present findings, do data collection physically, and present findings, and so on. Third block, 27 September, 2nd October, again continuing with the advanced quantitative research techniques, again with your electives. And remember now, at the end of 2nd October, the last block, you should be finalizing your research proposal, because that research proposal must serve at faculty. Remember, you are developing this proposal with us in the coursework year, but that proposal must be accepted by faculty. But we are so confident that we will do a good job with you in that first year, because if you go through all those processes, you should have a formidable proposal. You should have a formidable proposal of the coursework year, and then faculty must accept the proposal. That's our expectation. That's why we have this coursework year, that we help you develop a good proposal that will succeed at faculty level. Faculty checks for ethics and everything then, and that will then just be an aside for you if you have done a good job on your proposal. So just a little bit more on assessments. Our assessments in the middle there, I've already spoken about the classes. We're going to repeat that. Then under assessments there, our approach is, our format of assessment is continuous assessment. There are no examinations. So our assessment will be in the form of formative assessment and summative assessments. So formative assessments will be, forming your understanding in class through class exercises, formative discussions, formative feedback from you on your experiences, and you will probably build a portfolio of work in the formative assessments. All your classwork, all your discussions, all your reflections, and things like that. That's part of your formative assessment. We will also mark that, give a mark there, and that will be the formative assessment. Then summative assessments are then your written work, your written assignments, your submission of literature study, your conference paper on your preliminary empirical work, and things like that. Those are things we mark for, and those things will be moderated. Okay, they will be externally moderated. Formative assessments will be internally moderated without academics themselves. So that's the assessment we are looking at in the ProDBA. And then our supervision style is not the regular one-on-one or the normal one-on-one in a PhD, for example, where we only have one student to one supervisor. So that is not our style in the ProDBA. We would like to have group supervision, because you will be led by your supervisor, but there will be inputs from a statistician helping you, or a person doing the data analysis for you, but also an industry expert also giving input into your progress in this topic, so that we know your topic stays relevant and stays topical, and and will make a contribution to practice. That's very important for us, and that's why we have the group supervision. The main supervisor will be your supervisor, but there will be also inputs from a statistician, an industry expert, and so on. Right? The impact of COVID is just one liner there, Hopefully, if you can't get to the face-to-face or physical presentations, you will definitely have virtual presentations then, virtual delivery of the ProDBA. In terms of then the weighting of the assessment, your summative sections will count 60% of your mark, and the formative assessments will count 40% of your mark. And that will give you then a pass or fail at the end of your coursework year. These are our gurus that will be teaching you on the ProDBA. Dr. Fraser is our team lead on operations, supply chain, maritime studies, and so on. Prof. Joe Hare, many of you might know him. He is the author of many multivariate statistic books. He's an expert on structural equation modeling. So he'll be teaching you the advanced stats on our program, the advanced quantitative techniques. A well-renowned world-class teacher of multivariate stats. Then we have Prof. Uwe Wellner. He's in international expert international management. So he will look at business strategy, international strategy, and so on. Prof. Cullen is an expert on entrepreneurship, innovation, and marketing. She'll be the program leader in entrepreneurship, marketing, innovation, and so on. Dr. Sam February, he is the head of the department, and he's an expert in strategic ICT and operations management, AI, and so on, continuous improvement using ICT and things like that. Business intelligence, that is the work of the expertise of Dr. Sam February. And then we have Paul Poisat, who is a leader in South Africa on leadership, OB, organizational behavior, and HRM. Prof. Hans Sigurd Jensen is from Aarhus University in Denmark. He is also an honorary professor of Edamba, a leading scholar on research theory. And he combines research theory with innovation. And that we need on the ProDBA to be able to bring your research, to base your research problem into good theory and bring the two together and innovation together to solve the problem, your problem innovatively, right? So these are just example of guys who will then teach on your ProDBA. Finally, colleagues, the fees are then the following. You will pay an enrollment fee of 1,420. I don't have the conversions now in terms of euro and dollars. I think you'll be able to do your own conversions there. And the first you pay our module fees of 45,000 Rand. I don't know how much that will be on dollars and euros and things like that. In the second year, the same amount, but then we progressively go lower as we go to the third year, fourth year, and the fifth year, and so on. But we want you only to pay the first 2 years. As I said, we want you to finish the treatise, your coursework and thesis within the first 3 years. It's also less costly for you as well. There is, we usually add to the amount, but the 10% to the amount. But I think these amounts will remain the same, more or less, I think, for the next 6 years for you. But you will have to just make sure that from Carlin, she is the person in the relations office who is managing the fees with the university. So you can get some good advice from her in terms of the fees. But I think also you have to pay a down payment of 4,100 Rand, and that includes your enrollment fee of 1,420 plus a down payment on your fees already. That will come off your 45,000 Rand and so on. So that is how our fee structure looks like in the ProDBA. And I think the price is reasonable, colleagues, because I know also of doctoral programs in South Africa, which are above 55,000 Rand and so on. So our price, I think, is reasonable for our ProDBA in terms of what we're going to deliver to you in the ProDBA. And finally, colleagues, the ProDBA closing date is the 1st of November. but I think Carlene was nice with you and says that we will also accept late applications until 24th of November. So there's still time for you to apply for the ProDBA. While we're closing on the 1st of November, we will have a closing date for late applications also on the 24th of November. So any information, there you have the email address. You also have the email address of Dr. Carlene Jooste. She is the person in charge of admission of the ProDBA. Colleagues, that is my presentation on the ProDBA. Thank you for listening. And any question from your side will be welcome now. Thank you. Let me just take this off the screen and then I can see your hands and things like that. Colleagues, that is my presentation. Any questions from your side? Brink, your hand is up.
Prof, there's no questions. It's just a comment just to say to you, thank you very much for a very comprehensive presentation, very professional. And you know, if accepted, I'm very much looking forward in be part of this. It's very exciting indeed, not only for our university, but also in terms of the global spectrum. So congratulations to yourself and your institution and your team for putting this together and for providing this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brink. It will be nice to have you on board, Brink. So please work on that proposal.
I'm busy. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Brink. Maxioli,
Masitole, yes, Prof.
Mangeni.
Yes,
Yes,
Prof.
I'm
Thank
listening.
you.
Yes.
On fees, are the fees inclusive of textbooks or material which are needed for the program?
No, it's not included there, Mr. Mangeni. It's not included. Your books are not included there. Yeah.
Okay. Then the satellite campuses, I mean, based in Gauteng, does it mean that you will use the class in PE, then the contact as well in the satellite, or they are deemed as virtual?
They will be deemed as virtual, Mr. Bangeni. I don't think we might not be able to, as far as the ProDBA is concerned, we would like to have, we might not have, let's say, our numbers, I don't think might run into hundreds in the ProDBA. You see what I'm saying? So if it's a small cohort or manageable cohort, we'd like you all to come to PE, that we have those group discussions here and that you can interact with one another. You see what I'm saying? Instead of you sitting now there at the satellite campus and so on. We might not go back to satellite campuses after COVID, yes. Now, so we would like to see you here with us, Mr. Bangeni.
On the degree, Prof, on the degree certificate itself, is the qualification name ProDBA or it's DBA? What's the qualification name?
It's going to be ProDBA, professional DBA.
Okay.
Last one. Professional DBA. Yes.
Last one, it's on the numbers. How many people are expected to be accepted and when will the feedback be finalized? I applied, I think the previous cycle that closed, I think it's end of September.
Yes. We capped it at 20, but I can see we're going to go past 20. We wanted a small group to start off, but we're working between 20 and 30 as the first group. So you will soon receive your result, Mr. Bangeni, for your assessment of your proposal. So just wait for it. It's on its way. The first interviews will already be conducted on the 21st of October. So so you'll be receiving your answer very soon.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Then I saw, Ms. Bangeni was there, and then Anel Haynes.
Hi there, everyone. Hi there, Doctor. I think Masiko Kole also asked the question with regards to the maximum number of students per year, but I wanted to know that while we are doing the coursework, are we then allowed to already do the data gathering? And I think I did ask Dr. Carlene this as well. that should our proposal be accepted in the application, that we can already do the data gathering?
Anel, I don't think that will be allowed. You'll be able to publish it. I saw your email. You'll be able to publish from your literature review. Sometimes the literature review is so good because you are looking at your theory already that you are constructing or formulating to attack your research problem. And sometimes people publishing from that already. The reason why you won't be able to analyze data is that you can only go on with your study or do data collection after faculty has looked at the ethics of your study. So that proposal must go to faculty. Faculty must look at ethics and things like that, and they give you an ethics clearance number, approval number, and only then you can collect your data. So any publication before that will then be from your literature work, or even from your preliminary work. You know, you might have a pilot study, for example, and preliminary findings, and you want to publish that in a conference paper or in a journal, you know. You can do that, but you can't do data collection for your project unless the faculty has accepted your proposal.
No, thank you. I think I'm clear on that. Thank you so much.
Okay, now then Mr. Javu or Tobela Javu.
Great, Prof, and greetings to everyone.
Thank you,
Mine is
Tobela.
just to check in terms of the fees. The fees, obviously, they're informed by the fact that the classes will be contact sessions.
Yes.
But the question now is, what if then, let's say for the next 2 years, then there is, you know, we're still faced with the pandemic, and then as such, then there's no opportunity to have a contact session, and all our classes, they are virtually based. Will that affect the fees structure?
I hear you, Tobela. I hear you, but remember also a large part of your fee is really the quality of the content, the quality of the lecturer, the quality of your advice and the interaction. We are forced now by COVID not to have the face-to-face, but we will do our best, even virtually, to have that group discussion and the group interaction and things like that. So you won't lose a lot, while our preference would be for you to be at our campus. And we could do that we were actually planning of having a commons room just for doctoral studies, where you have your own tea and all those kind of things. You know, we can't do that now because of COVID. Hopefully we can still do it if COVID disappears, maybe, or it's under control next year. But I don't think this is the amount accepted by faculty at the moment at the university, the amount for the ProDBA. To change that, we will then have to enter into discussion with faculty and so on. But I can take that to faculty if people feel, you know, if you feel that the delivery, the virtual delivery has an impact or should have an impact on the price. I don't think so, because we really would like to do a proper job, even virtually. But if a student or students feel that there's a case for, you know, looking at the price in terms of virtual delivery of the program, we're prepared to take that to faculty and have the discussion. Okay, Mr. Javu, does that answer your question?
No, thanks, Prof. No, look, yes, you've answered my question. But I think at the same time, maybe it's something that maybe I'll just put it as a proposal.
Yes.
That maybe the university, when you deliberating on the offering, then it's something that maybe you must just add in your basket to consider. You know,
Yes.
I think what you also touched, for example, what you've just touched on in as far as what you envisage as a university when you deliver the program, for example, where you're going to have interactions, and then you're going to have groups, and where you're going to have in those groups, and then tea and coffee type of things. because all those things, they add up in terms of your fee structure. So,
Yeah.
so I think it's something that maybe you must just, as I said, maybe just, maybe I'm just throwing it that you must maybe just look at it and then and see if you cannot put it in your basket as I indicated. But yes, you have answered me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tabela. Unati?
Good afternoon, Prof. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's actually very wonderful news. My question is, so I did my MBA with Nelson Mandela. And my question is, we had the block release and the full-time and the part-time program. So on the part-time program, and this may be a repetitive question, and now I live in Gauteng. Would I have to come into Port Elizabeth, or will you have a scenario where, like you did with the MBA, where you partnered with another university like Centurion Academy, where we attend classes there? Or would a person have to come into Port Elizabeth?
Unati, actually internationally, you know, ProDBA's people fly to a central venue, you know, because they want that interaction and fertilization of ideas, not people's, you know, only two meeting in Gauteng on, you know, and we fly people there and that kind of thing. It's not the model for the ProDBA. I just mentioned the satellite campuses because we've delivered the MBA like that. I don't think we'll be able to deliver that's not our preference. Our preference is to have our 20 people there with us at Port Elizabeth, and these industry experts and these academics and these people come listen to you and interact with you and really bring your study and keep your study on a high level. You know, you don't have that in the current PhD one-on-one teaching. It's you and your supervisor, and that's all. While the ProDBA characteristic, you know, is that people are there and people are there to support you all the way. And that's why we need you there in those 3 blocks. You have enough time to work on your own, you know, between blocks. But everybody will be treated the same. There wouldn't be a block release program and a full-time program or PE program. You all are the same, and we want all of you to come to PE. I know there are considerations of transport now and things like that. If that is a problem, we will have to work around that in terms of a blended approach, where people will then, if they can't fly in, we will make provision. Then while we have people in PE, people will then also be part of the PE discussion, you know, that kind of thing. We will have to make provision for that. But price number 1 for us is everybody in PE, and we all see each other and we all interact with one another.
Oh, okay, but it's not a problem, Prof. You said there were 3 blocks, right?
Yes, 3 blocks, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. No, I think I missed that part. No. Then that kind of nullifies my question. No, thank you. That's fine.
Okay, thank you, Nati. Then Unati. Peter?
Yes.
Unati Peter?
Thanks, Prof.
Thank
Prof,
you.
Earlier on this year,
Yes.
I'm looking at the structure of the course.
Yes.
That business administration, you said that it's basically a summary of all the modules that were offered in the MBA, but now
Yes.
it's basically of saying which one are the hot topics going forward. Does it mean that even though I'd completed now recently, I would still be expected to complete this module? And then the second question is, looking at the fee structure, we've got these 4 compulsory courses in the first year. In the second year, is it 45,000 Rand only for the research module, which should be what is outstanding, having completed everything?
It is then for the beginning of your thesis. Oh. Remember, let's say you pass your first year now. That 45,000 is for that first year. Second year will then be starting your thesis. Isn't that so? So that will then still be then 45,000 Rand to bring you into contact with all those experts to kick off your thesis work. Even that is something that we also need to manage well, because after that, we know from previous experience, the more you do in the first 2 years on your thesis, the more understanding there is, the better you will perform later, and the quicker you will finish your thesis. So that is why the prices are still high in the first 2 years, because then the first 2 years The coursework will be on a high level. The first year, especially with the input of industry experts and things like that, to kick off your thesis, that will be very important. Your literature study and getting ready with the measuring instrument and all those kind of things will be a big input in your second year, starting with the thesis. Then price will go down as we then proceed with your thesis. I think you asked another question. Your first question, I missed that one, Unati. Oh yes, you finished your MBA and you said, will you then get sort of credit for the administration? The Unati, there is no difference between, there might be overlaps, but our idea is that the teaching on the ProDBA will be definitely on a higher level and more focused, more industry focused, because we bring in these experts into the class. I don't think it will be just an extension of the MBA. It will be, if I, for example, mention a few things that will be cutting edge, and you must tell me then whether you have then looked at these kind of things, for example, in the MBA, but you will look at these things on a higher level, you know. For example, cutting edge issues in entrepreneurship that we're going to look at is frugality, you know, better entrepreneurial ecosystems, international entrepreneurship, and so on. I don't know whether you have touched exhaustively and intensively on these things in the MBA, for example. You know, if you look, for example, on the marketing front, cutting edge issues in online marketing, agility, influences on social media, those are topical and high level issues we are going to look at on the ProDBA. In leadership, you're going to look at the new world of work, which is maybe on a high level, and we bring in here industry experts to teach that to you. And the approach here is critically analyzing presentation of MDs on this level in that course. So that's the idea of leadership and OB teaching, for example. So I can see a higher level of engagement and a higher level of thinking in the ProDBA, not on the same level as the MBA. There can be overlaps, but it will definitely be on a higher level in the ProDBA. That's how our aim. In ICT, for example, we're going to look at hyper automation, multi-experience automation, democratization of technology, human augmentation in ICT, and things like that, the higher levels of those kind of things. So there are cutting edge issues on the ProDBA that you might not have studied in the MBA. Unari, do I answer that question for you?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Prof.
Thank you, Unari. Anga, you next. Anga Lukwana.
Yes, thanks, Prof. Yeah, I just had some interest to try and understand, Prof. Is there a difference between the ProDBA and the DBA? And I mean, is one superior than each other, or what?
No, there is a difference. The current DBA is a thesis-based. All doctorates are on the same level in South Africa. You can't do it. There's no better doctor than the other one. It's just the approach is different. The PhD approach or the thesis-based, our DBA is called DBA because it's the business school. It follows an MBA. But actually the way of delivery is the same as a PhD, a one-on-one between the supervisor and a student. So you could have actually said the DBA is a PhD as well, or a DCOM, DTech. They are all PhD sort of based teaching of the doctoral study. But the ProDBA has a stronger practical focus because of the coursework year. In PhDs, you don't have coursework years. So that is why you find that the difference between a PhD and a ProDBA is that in a PhD, you can easily proceed with a PhD on an M, immediately after an M, because your approach is more theoretical. And that is why you look for research gaps. You want to build on theory in a thesis, in a PhD. In a ProDBA, your starting point will be a practical business problem. And you, by bringing the theory to that problem, you hopefully want that solving of the problem to make a scholarly contribution as well as a theoretical contribution. So in a PhD, you could just advance theory maybe, you know, but in a ProDBA, it will be, the focus will be a high class business problem. And by doing that, attacking that in the correct research way, good theory and so on, you will solve a practical business problem, but also make a good scholarly contribution. So that is the difference between, also your access to data, for example. In a PhD, you must develop your own databases. That's why you look at your own population and you're going to look at your own questionnaire, the people you're going to supervise. In a ProDBA, because it's a practice thing, and you must go into a firm, for example, and you have access to their databases, it's more practical than a PhD approach, you know? So those are the differences between a ProDBA, but they are on the same level. The approach is different. We can't say the PhD is at a lower level than the ProDBA. It's not like that. Both are acceptable for academic careers. You can have a ProDBA and still become an academic. You know, many ProDBA graduates maybe remain in the professions, but become then guest lecturers and guest academics in business schools, or they can become an academic with a ProDBA. So there is no difference between doctoral studies in South Africa. We are all on doctoral level and we are all recognized as doctorates. Is that fine, Unati? Who would ask this question now? Anga, I think, yeah, Anga.
Yes,
Who's next?
Professor?
Anga, is that you?
Professor Arnold.
Yes, Jessica.
Sorry to interrupt you, and also sorry to the class for interrupting the order of asking questions. I am running a bit late for my next meeting, my next AGM meeting.
By the way, colleagues, that is Dr. Jessica Fraser. She is the guru in operations and maritime studies. So she's going to ask a question now to us. Jessica, yes?
No, I just need to make a comment.
Yes.
First and foremost, the students who are current MBAs who think they might be repeating something, just because our pictures are on the slides today doesn't mean that you are seeing the entire network of professionals that we are bringing to the party for the ProDBA. So it's not only what we know, it's who we know that we're bringing to the party. And then just on the sensitive point of fee structure, I would advise all prospective applicants to start looking on the internet now, because the DHET, Department of Higher Education and Training, all of the sector education and training authorities like TIETA, MERSIETA, Services SIETA, international organizations like DART, the German academic exchange program, they're also running calls for bursaries and scholarships right now that will be closing in the next few months. So whoever wants to study their doctorate with support and financing from outside organizations, especially if you are in industry, and even if you want to do research in another country, start in South Africa and then go do research in another country, now's the time to go and apply online to all of those organizations for bursaries and scholarships. And the onus is on you to show your initiative and your persuasive power as a doctoral candidate to make sure that somebody pays for your studies instead of just depending on the university, because you know fees must fall at all university institutions. So Prof. Arnold, if I may, and for the class and the delegates, the prospective students, if you will please excuse me, because I am running late for my next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fraser, for that input. Very important input. Thank you very much. Enjoy your next event or your next appointment. Thank you, Dr. Fraser. Bafana, you next, and then Pearl.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Prof. And good evening to the other colleagues on the screen now. Prof, just a quick question. The 45,000,
Yes.
is it for all the modules together that is now for the whole year? Or
Yes.
the module? Just
Yes,
covers
Bafana.
everything.
All those modules, yeah.
Yeah, just a question linked to that. Then therefore, if a student, for example, would like to take, say, 2 modules in the first year,
Yes.
and take 2 modules in the next year, is that allowed? Is that possible? Can that be approved?
No, Bafana. The year is structured in a way that you can't break it up. You know,
Yes.
it's one coursework year for the whole year, and you must finish that year. If you can't, that means you fail that year. Then you must do it in the next year. You don't have maybe you might not. You must repeat that year then in the second year.
Okay.
So we can't break it up in 1 and 2, and you stretch the coursework year over 2 years. No, we can't do that. The structure is like that in a way that you have to complete a coursework in 1 year.
All of those.
If you
modules.
fail it for some reason, you have to repeat that coursework in the next year.
Oh, I see. And just a quick last question, Prof. On the summative assessment, do we have group assignments, or it's going to be individual assignments for students?
It will be a combination of group and individual assignments. For example, an individual assignment will be your own literature study on your topic. It can't be a group one. You see what I'm saying? So there will be a combination of group assignments and individual assignments.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay, thank you. And Pearl was next, but I lost her hand. Okay, maybe Pearl is covered with that answer. Colleagues, are there more questions? Did we exhaust all the questions? Pearl, your hand is up now, I can see. No, it goes down again. It's another Pearl. There are 2 Pearls in here. Sean, Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you very much, Prof. Just on my side, should everything goes as planned and you're being accepted, when are those first fees payable?
When you start on the 1st of, when you get your yes from us that you can now enter the ProDBA, on the 1st of January, you pay for that year. The fees are payable as soon as we accept you, and maybe for the financial year, starting on the 1st of January. You don't have to pay now for starting your year next year. You can pay from the 1st of January. Okay, Sean? Okay, colleagues, I think we have covered all your questions. Hopefully all of you will then come to us, and we are looking forward to see your proposals coming through our interviews and things like that. And then we will decide whether your contribution of your intended topic will make a very good contribution for practice and for the scholars in your field. And that is our hope for our ProDBA candidates of this year. So if there are no more questions, colleagues, then I'm going to sign off here. Anel, that's another,
sorry,
another
Prof,
clapping hand. And then I see also Pearl, your hand is up now again, and Leanne. No, Leanne was first, I think. Leanne, do you want to go first, and then
Yes,
Pearl?
Prof. I just want to encourage the colleagues in the session today, listening to the questions and your responses, even for myself, is to look at the sponsorships that Dr. Fraser was speaking about, because I have every intention of embedding my study from a global perspective, or else I'm wasting my time doing a doctorate, whether it be a professional doctorate, more especially because we are undertaking to do a professional doctorate. Therefore, this will then also explain the fees exactly as you have explained it, Prof, is that in the first year, there's the coursework, but in the second, from the first year to the second year, we will be engaging, from what I heard you were saying, we will be engaging with specialists in our fields, the gurus in our fields. So if I'm going to be focusing on entrepreneurship, I will then want to take a trip to China, take a trip to India, and look at the comparisons of how their economic models, if I'm looking at improving the economic model for small businesses in South Africa, for example. So I really want to encourage the colleagues on the call is to look at those various opportunities to tap into that specific industry that you want to focus on, and to look at funding opportunities. For example, if you're looking at the automotive sector, VW and the international OEMs provide that kind of opportunity. So look at tapping into those resources. And I'm sure, Sasha, you would, from that perspective, and Caroline, kind of give guidelines to us. I'm also in that basket of inquiry, because we are wanting to become the expert in South Africa and recognized globally. Therefore, we've got to do the global comparison. And to do that, it's going to include not only, so I think from what I took from you, Prof, I must take away my MBA experience, because I'm now entering into a completely different world where I am going to become the guru in small business or economic empowerment of SMMEs in our country. And therefore, I've got to be thinking in a completely different perspective. Even looking at the modules, it might look like the MBA, but I'm not expecting to be doing a ProDBA focusing on MBA work. Like you said, I'm expecting this ProDBA to take me to the next level, where I'm looking at it from a global perspective. So it's almost a case of unhooking from the MBA and taking my mind to a much higher level and hooking into a global perspective. And that also speaks to the price, where we are saying, because it's at a global perspective, there will be a hybrid model, even if COVID passes away. When COVID passes away and we go back to the classroom, the price will not change, because you as a business school are creating pathways into the globe. So paying those experts is not going to differ whether we are at the business school or whether we are doing it through a electronic device. The cost to effectively run the ProDBA is still going to remain the same. Did I understand the explanation correctly?
Thank you, Mr.
Was my expectation too high?
No, thank you, Ms. Vasi. You're nailing it. Absolutely, no, it's true. And people must be warned, but before warned also. The doctorate is on a far higher level than the MBA and a master's degree, because it's expected of you to make an original contribution as a doctoral study. So your work in this problem must be at a level that people will say, this is the expert in that field, because you have done the study. That is your original contribution. That is the description of a doctorate. So definitely. And also thank you very much, Ms. Vasi, for justifying our price. Absolutely. The international experience as well. Pearl, her hand goes up and down. I don't know whether Pearl wants to speak to us. If Pearl doesn't want to speak to us, then it's Jim. Macho then will speak to us next. Jim? Jim, you might be muted.
No, Prof, I'm covered by the
okay.
Prof level. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Tabe?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Yes. Mine is on your requirements. If maybe for my master's I've obtained, let's say 58, 59, would you still consider my application?
Technically, no, Tabe. Technically, no. We will have to discuss that. We will have to discuss that because then we need to look at the other criteria, how you perform in an interview, how you, the level of your proposal, for example. You know, all these things will then come into play. Technically, won't the degree is registered at CHE as 60% on the M level. So the other discretions will come from the business school. you know, and we can't answer this now for you and say we will actually accept you on the 58. Technically, the ProDBA is registered at the CHE as entrance of 60%. So if we deviate from that, we will have to make a case for that. And when people come audit and things like that, they will, as you know, in the EMBA accreditation as well, they will ask, you said 60%, why do you, or the SHL testing, or psychometric testing. You said 5 out of 10, now you accept people 2 out of 10. Why did you do that? So those things will then be discussed and actually defended then by the business school. But as I can't give you a permanent, a final answer on that, just by saying that we will maybe consider that in terms of the other criteria as well. Technically, we can't because that is how we are registered, but there's always a room for discretion and things like that, Tabe.
All right, thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Tabe. Pearl, you are highlighting up again. You'll be the last speaker then, Pearl, if you want to say something. Pearl, I'm listening to you now. I think Pearl has maybe connection problems. Sean, you wanted to ask another question?
Yes, just one last question from my side, Prof. How do you go about to find out if your preferred topic fits into that category, which you just mentioned earlier?
No, it's dependent on you. You're going to look at the problem that you are interested in investigating, right? When you submit this proposal, we will then see whether the proposal fits into our research areas. So it's from our side that we're going to discuss, identify the topic, your research area of your topic. So I would say don't look at the research focus area of the supervisor now. Look at what is the problem you want to address. And maybe your problem has an angle of marketing or an angle on supply chain management, then we will then locate that study into a specific area when we evaluate your proposal. Does it answer your question? So look for a topic that you want to address, or even you can go to a company and ask for problems, you know, ask for things they are struggling with. And maybe a problem has different angles, and it's not only a marketing issue, it's also other issues. And then we will locate that study of yours by asking a supervisor or an expert to look at your proposal. And then we will decide on that basis. That's how we do it.
Okay. Thanks, Prof.
Okay, Sean. Tabe, your hand is up for the last time.
Good day, Prof. That it wasn't Tabe the last time the person was speaking. But anyway,
no,
my question
I see your hand now, Tabe, yes?
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes.
The last person wasn't Tabe. Anyway, my question is, I recently applied for the ProDBA and got invited for the interview. So I need clarity on the interview process. Is it just 15 minutes of me presenting my research proposal, or is it more what's required of me?
Now you will present your proposal to us, Tabe, and then we will then in the interview, remember there are 4 or 5 people now interviewing you, just to make sure that we understand your significance of your study and your contribution. That's for us very important in that interview. Will your study make that contribution on a scholarly basis? And will your study, or might your study make a contribution in policy making in an organization or in government and so on? So we will discuss these things with you, just to really make sure that the study that we allow to come into the ProDBA will already at this level make that contribution. Then you will develop on that. So it's not only your prelim, you will discuss your prelim with us, but we might have follow-up questions on that, just to make sure that to gain more information from you, and to make sure that we have a good understanding of your proposal, and then we can take it further. So the discussion in the interview is your presentation on your prelim, but also from our side, want to make sure in terms of methodology, in terms of where you're going with the study, in terms of contribution and significance of the study and so on. So those answers will come from you as the expert in the field that you are going to, because you are now seeing the problem. You coming from that industry and you telling there's a problem. We don't know about the problem. You coming present it to us. So we ask follow-up questions from you. And just to make sure that our understanding is on the right level. And this is definitely a study that will make a doctoral contribution. That's fine, Tabe?
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Tabe. Colleagues, I think we were going to close our presentation here. I don't know whether you want to say something finally, Sasha. Sasha is our administrator in the ProDBA. She arranged all your communication with you, and she arranged this evening. Nothing from your side, Sasha?
Nothing from my side, Prof. Thank you very much for this very well presented and comprehensive presentation.
Okay, thank you, Sasha. Colleagues, then I will wait for your proposals then and your communication to us. You'll communicate with Sasha and with Carlin, and then along the value chain, I will also see your proposals and things like that. Unati, thank you for the hand there. And good evening, colleagues. Hopefully I'll see the proposals that are coming through me then when it comes from Sasha and from Carlin. Thank you, colleagues. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Thanks.
Okay,
Good evening,
bye.
everyone.
Bye. Bye.